Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to make these really fun and beautiful earrings. If you wanted to, you could have one of these for a pendant if you wanted a set. But if you do decide that you want one of these for a pendant, I recommend that you put it on a very thin, dainty chain because these earrings are really light. And if you put it on something heavy like a beaded rope, this would not sit down in the center of your chest. It would spin around your neck, so you need something very lightweight to hold on to this. So a thin, dainty chain would be just perfect if you wanted a set. So let's get started. I'm going to tell you all the materials you're going to need. Here is the list of materials you will need to make one pair of earrings. You will need fireline, and you can either use a 6-pound or an 8-pound. I'm using the 8-pound. Now you're going to need 2 pieces of fireline, and each piece needs to be 2.5 feet long. So again, you can either use 6-pound or 8-pound, but you need to cut 2 pieces, and each piece needs to be 2.5 feet long for one pair of earrings. You're also going to need 1 size 10 beading needle, 2 earring findings. These are lever backs, but you can also use fish hooks or whatever you want. You're also going to need 2 8mm round beads, 16 4mm beads, and they can either be bicones or rounds, or you can do all the same shape. In this set here, I have just bicones, no rounds, only my 8mm bead is the round. You're also going to need 58 superduos and 11 seed beads, and you can either use check seed beads for this or my Yuki. Now remember, I always put the material list down there in the description bar below this video. So if you want to see everything in writing, it's going to be down there in the material list. The first thing we're going to do is make the center right here of our earring. So I'm going to start by picking up my 8mm round bead, sliding that down, and then I'm going to pick up 1 11 seed bead, 3 super duos, 2 11 seed beads, 3 more super duos, and 1 11. And I'm going to show you close up. This is what I just picked up, okay? So now I'm going to slide all of these down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a knot, and I'm going to leave about a 4-inch tail on this because we're not going to be able to do a whole lot of going back with this tail and tying knots. So I'm just going to tie a surgeon's knot, so over and under, okay. And I'm going to try to leave more of a tail. Okay, that's about a 4-inch tail right there. Okay, so here you can see my knot is going to be right here beside my 8mm bead because I'm going to pull it into this bead. So now I'm going to go over and under with my tail twice because this is the surgeon's knot, just like that. And I'm going to pull this down and pull it tight. Now I'm going to tie this knot a few more times because, like I said, we're not going to be able to do much knot tying after this. Over and under, and bring it down. Careful that you don't get this seed bead caught up in your knot. Okay, so I can do a little bit more. One more time, should be good. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to pass it through this 8mm bead. Careful not to pass through the 11 seed bead. So this is what it looks like. Okay. And then I'm just going to pull this just a little bit so that the seed bead, or not the seed bead, the knot disappears into this bead, okay? But don't pull it too hard because the knot will come back out this end. So right now it's kind of in the center of our bead. So the next thing I'm going to do is pick up one 11 seed bead, 3 super duos, 2 11-0 seed beads, 3 super duos, and 1 11-0 seed bead. And again, there's my close-up of what I just picked up, okay? So right now, I'm exiting out of the top of this bead. So I'm going to go around, and I'm going to go through this side. Okay? And I'm going to pull this through. Okay, I'm going to leave this tail here because I'm going to try to weave back through some of the beads. And right now this is twisted around here, so I'm just going to straighten that out. It's twisted right here around this, which kind of looks like it's tying a knot. Okay, so now I got that problem fixed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tail to hold on to my work. And what I have to do is I have to go all the way back around this, and I have to have a thread passing this way, straight through these two 11-0 seed beads and straight through these two over here, just to pull the center tighter together, because if you look at how this looks, it's really nice and tight, and it kind of looks like a square going around this 8mm bead. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to find which beads I just added, which are these ones right here. So I'm going to pull that tight, and since I just added these, I'm going to pass through these beads here. Now you can only go through a few at a time. It's a little snug. Okay, so maybe like 3 beads at a time. Okay, so pass through there. Careful you don't get your tail caught. I'm going to go through these ones here. Pull that through, and I'm going to pass through these ones. Okay, pull this tight. Now if you look, right now I'm exiting out of, where'd my needle go? Out of this super duo, I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go straight through these two 11-0 seed beads and through the super duos up here on the top. Okay, pull that through, pull it tight, passing through the rest of my beads, going all the way around. I'm just going around one time. So now I'm over here, and I'm going to pass through this super duo, this 11-0 seed bead, and through this super duo. So over here, I already have my center thread that's pulling these two seed beads together. So I'm going to pass out through these beads right here, just like this, and I'm going to pull this tight. Okay. Pull it tight. Now I'm exiting out of this super duo right here, and I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go through the next hole. Okay, and I'm going to start adding 4mm beads. Now I'm not cutting this thread off yet because I'm going to add a second row onto this, and then I'm going to take this thread and I'm going to weave it back through some of the beads, just so it's secure, because I don't like cutting my thread off at knots. Okay, so right here I am, and to make my earrings match, the 4mm bead I have to pick up first is the bicones, the blue bicones. So I'm going to pick up a bicone, and I'm going to fill in these gaps right here. So all these 4 gaps are going to have bicones, and in between the super duos I'm going to add another super duo. Okay, so I just picked up my 4mm bicone, and I'm filling in this hole. That's what it looks like. And now I'm going to do a super duo, and I'm just going to put a super duo between all of these super duos. Okay, now I'm back at this hole where I have to add my 4mm bead. Pull that tail thread out of the way. Super duo. Another super duo. here's my 4mm bead. Pull that through. Another super duo. Another super duo. Pass through here. Okay, and right here I have to add my very last 4mm bead. Okay, filling in this hole, and then I have to do 2 more super duos. So I'm gonna put this one right here, and the other one right here. So I'm gonna take my needle sitting right here, I'm gonna pass through this super duo, but instead of coming out of the super duo, I'm also gonna go through the 4mm bead, and this is stepping up to add more beads later on. Okay, so passing through there, pulling this through, making sure it's tight, and this is what we have. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this little thread here, I'm gonna flatten it with my fingernail, so I'm able to slide a needle on. Now you could take the needle off of this other end, or if you have an extra one laying around, you can just go ahead and thread that on. Okay, I just threaded this on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to pass through some beads just to make this a little more secure. Okay, so I went through this 11-0, this super duo. I'm going to turn around right here, and I'm going to tie 1 knot right here at this bicone, make a loop, and go through it twice. Okay, so right here's a little knot. I'm going to pull this knot down. I'm going to pass through this bicone, through the super duo. Now if I didn't stop right now and I kept going with this thread over here, there's no way that I can go back and tie a knot right here. It's too tight, way too tight. Okay, so I'm just gonna pass through a few beads just like this. Okay, and this should be good enough. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna get my cutters, and I'm just gonna cut off this short tail. Okay, so now we're done with that little piece of tail, and we can go back to working, and our piece is nice and secure now. Okay, so right now I'm exiting out of this 4mm bicone, and the next thing I'm gonna do is pick up some more super duos. So exiting out of this bead. And one thing I did want to point out, when I pull this thread here, I noticed that this bicone, see how it's kind of going at an angle like that? When you pull it, you want to pull it down like this, so it's going around instead of going up at an angle. So when you pull that thread tight, pull it down. Okay, so now I'm going to add some more super duos, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 super duo at each of these bicones. So there's going to be one here, here, one here, 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 here. But in between these super duos, I'm going to add my next 4mm bead, and this is my round bamboo coral beads over here. Okay, so exiting out of this super duo right here, I'm going to pick up one of my 4mm beads. Now, when I was designing these, I did pick up a seed bead, the 4mm bead, and a seed bead, and I added seed beads first that way before I did the very last part of the edging going around this, and it didn't turn out that way. It warped the earring, so I'm only going to put the 4mm beads in these corners here with no 11-0 seed beads, because that made the earring get warped. So right now I'm exiting out of this super duo. I'm going to pick up a new super duo, and I'm going to pass through this 4mm bead right here, and I'm going to pull my thread through, and I have this. So now I'm going to do another super duo, pass through this one right here, pull thread through, and I have this. And you want these to lay like this on top of the bicone. Okay, now I'm over here at this corner, and I'm going to add my next 4mm bead, filling in this hole. Now I'm going to do another super duo, and I'm going to put it right here. So I have to pass through this 4mm bicone. So going through here. Okay. I'm going to pick up another super duo and pass through the next one. Make sure that it's laying over top of my bicone. Now I'm at the corner again, so that means I have to pick up a 4mm bead. Okay, pull it tight. This is what I have. Now I'm going to pick up another super duo. I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to pass through this 4mm bicone. Go through there, pull my needle through, and pull this tight. Okay, we don't want any loose threads. So this is what we have so far. Turning this again, I'm going to pick up another super duo, and I'm going to pass through this one right here. Okay, now I'm going to add my very last 4mm round bead in this corner. And now I'm right here. I'm going to pick up another super duo, and I'm going to fill in this gap right here. So I'm going to take my needle, and I'm going to pass through this 4mm bicone. Okay, pull it tight, and just like this. So now on this earring, on all my earrings, I added one extra super duo at the very top, just so I can make a really nice looking bail on the top. So here you could see with all 4 of them how I have the extra super duo here, because on the sides I have only the seed beads in the sides. So now I'm going to pick up one extra super duo, but before I do that I have to get in position. So right now I'm exiting out of this 4mm bead. I'm going to pass up through this super duo right beside it. Okay, just like that. Make sure you're pulling your thread tight. I'm going to take my needle, pass through the same super duo but in the other hole. Go through there. And then I'm going to pick up a new super duo, and I'm going to pass through this one right beside it. Okay, pull that tight. So now we have the top of our earring right here where we're going to add our earring finding. So before I go on and I show you how to add the seed beads on the very edge of this earring, there's something I need to let you guys know, just in case, because you might have the same problem that I did. These two here I made with check seed beads. This one here I made with Miyuki seed beads. Now this blue one was the first earring I made, and I finished both of them off, and I thought that they were perfect. They weren't warping on me, so I was really happy with them. So then the second earring I went to work on was this one, but this was check and this is Miyuki seed beads. So when I went to work on this one, I went to do the very edging with the seed beads the same way I did this one. And this earring started to warp. And I know it's because check and Miyuki seed beads are slightly different. These are kind of a donut shape. They're more round. And these are kind of, I don't know, they're kind of closer to a Toho shape, I would say. But Tohos are kind of more of a pony bead shape. But anyways, I went to do the Miyuki edging the same way I did this one, with the same count of beads on the very edge, and it didn't work. It was warping on me. So I had to change how I did the edging on it. So what I did, if you look back over here, when I did the check seed beads, in between my super duos I have 2 check seed beads. And then beside my 4mm crystals, I did 4 seed beads, okay? And that's how I had to do the check version of this earring when I first made this. So when I went to do the Miyuki, like I said, it was warping. So what I did, and also it wasn't just warping, but I had a lot of thread exposed here, more than what you can see now. So what I did with the Miyuki is in these gaps right here between the superduos, I put 1 seed bead instead of 2. And then around my 4mm crystal, because this was warping, it was kind of doming, I knew that I needed more seed beads in this than this one. So around my crystal I did 5. So comparing these two, I have 4 here beside the crystals, 4 here, then 2 between the superduos, and over here I had 1 between the superduos and 5 beside my 4mm crystal. Okay, so those are the difference between them. Now this one here, when I went to work on this one, I wanted to see what this one would be like if I did it the way that I did the Miyuki. So I did this one this way. Right now it is made this way, but when I was experimenting, I made the edging on this way the same as this. Now when I did this way with the check seed beads, I had much bigger loops than I have here with the Miyuki. So here you can see there's kind of holes in here. Well, when I did this edging with the check, I had very large loops on the edges of this earring. So it didn't look bad, but I was not that crazy about how large the loops were. So I just went back to the way that I did this one. So these two here are made the same exact way. It's just the Miyuki, I had to change up how I did the edging of it because it was warping on me. So if you're doing check seed beads, you're going to be doing it the same way. I'm going to show you how to do it in the video, but if you're doing Miyuki, then you'll have to study this little pattern of picking up 4 when you come out of a crystal and going through a superduo, and 1 between these 2 superduos. And if you remember, I just added 1 up here to connect to my earring finding. So there's only 3 spots here, here, and here where you add 1 seed bead, but in the other ones you would add 5. So 5 here, 5 here, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. And again, you're only going to do that for the Miyuki. These here are the check. So if you're having a problem with adding the seed beads on the side, I would just come back to this spot right here and pause it, because it's the very last thing that we have to do, and we're just filling in the edges, and all you have to do is pause it. And if you're doing it with a check, just copy the picture. If you're doing it with Miyuki seed beads, then just copy what this one looks like here on the very edge. So since I'm doing the check, I'm gonna have to do it the way here that I did the check seed beads. So right now my thread is exiting out right here, and because I'm doing the check seed beads, I have to pick up 4. But if I were doing Miyuki, I would pick up 5 instead of 4. Okay, so here's my 4 beads. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to pass through this 4mm bead right here. Okay, pull this snug, and this is what I have. Now I'm going to take my needle, pick up 4 more seed beads, and again, if this is Miyuki, you're going to do 5. Exiting out of here, I'm going to go through this bead right here, this super duo. Okay, now I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads because I'm doing the check, and again, if you're doing the Miyuki, you're going to pick up 1 instead of 2, and I'm going to pass through this super duo right here, and I'm filling in this space just like that. So now I'm over here and I'm doing check, so I have to do 4. And again, if you're doing Miyuki, it'll be 5. Okay, pull that through. And now I have to pick up 4 more seed beads and go through here. And again, if you're doing Miyuki, it'll be 5. Pull it through just like that. Now I'm going to pick up 2 check seed beads, and again, if you're doing Miyuki, you can pick up 1. Okay, so now I have to pass through this super duo and fill in this spot. Okay, so I'm halfway around. This is what it looks like so far. So after I come out of this bead, I have to pick up 4 more check seed beads. Then I'm going to pass through the 4mm. And again, remember, if you're doing Mayuki, you're going to do 5 instead of 4. Okay, exiting out of here, I'm going to pick up 4 more. And I'm going to pass through this super duo. Now right here I'm at my spot, so I have to add 2 here because I have check. But again, if you're doing Mayuki, you'll be adding 1 between the super duos. And I'm going to pass through the next bead. Getting caught. Okay, so I fixed that and tighten it up. This is what I have. Now I'm going to pick up 4 check seed beads. And again, if you're doing Mayuki, you have to pick up 5, just like I did in this earring. So I have my 4, and I'm going to go through here. Now I'm going to pick up 4 more. And I'm going to take my needle, and I'm going to pass through this bead right here. Okay? Just like that, and now I went around the whole edge. So right now, if you want, you can go back and check your work. If you're doing the check again, remember that you have to have 4 here around the 4mm bead, and in between these 3 areas right here where we have super duos, you have to have 2. And if you're doing the Mayuki, you'll have to have 1 between the 2 super duos and 5 around the rest of the piece. Okay, that's the Mayuki. So right now, I'm exiting out of this super duo, and what I have to do is take my needle and pass through these 2 super duos. To get my needle in there somehow. I'm going to pass through these 2 super duos, okay? Then I'm going to go up through this first C bead right here. That's what it looks like. And then I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads. Now, this part here where we add the top is going to be the same for the Mayuki and for the check. So it's just that very edge that's different for the check and Mayuki, but the very top where we add our earring finding is the same exact way. So I have my 2 seed beads. I'm going to take my needle and pass through this super duo. Okay? Now I'm going to pick up 4 seed beads and slide them down. Now I have to pick up my earring finding, and I have to figure out which part do I want to be the front of my earring. Now on this side, I noticed that my knot popped back through and it's visible on this side, but on this side I do not see that knot. It's not visible. So I want this to be the front of my earring. So this is going to be the front, and I have my beads on here. So to make sure this stays my front, I'm going to put my earring finding on this way. Okay, so that knot is not visible in the front. So here are my 4 seed beads, my earring finding. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 3. Now I know we have 4 here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this bead here, and this bead is actually going to be my 4th. So I'm taking my needle, I'm passing through this seed bead and through the super duo, and I'm pulling this through all the way. Now I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to pass through this 1 seed bead right here. Okay? And now I'm going to pick up my very last seed bead, and I'm going to pass through this seed bead here and through the super duo. Pulling this tight, looking back up here, you could see that I have 3 seed beads here and 3 here. Okay? So exiting out here, I have to go back through all of this and reinforce it. So I'm just going to follow the same thread paths I've already made. So exiting out here, I'm going to go through these 2 super duos, and we have to wiggle through. Okay. Okay, so right there I am. I'm passing through just the 2 super duos. Okay, flipping this over. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to pass through this 11C bead like I did earlier. And now I'm going to sew back through all of these beads and reinforce my work. Okay, not through that one. Okay, so I'm right here. I'm going through this C bead, this one, the super duo, and this one. So I'm going to pull all of my tail through. Now I'm going to go straight up through these 3 and through the earring finding. Through these 3, so I have 2 thread passes through this earring finding, so it's very secure. Now I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to go back through this 11-0, the super duo, and through the 11-0, and also I can go through this bead now because I'm going to go down. So I'm pulling all of this through. And I'm going to go through this 11C bead and through this super duo. I'm going to pass through these 2 super duos. Okay, I'm coming out this side, so I'm flipping this over, pulling it through. Okay, I'm going to go through this 1C bead right here, right next to the super duo. Just like that. Pull it tight, and this is what our work should look like. You should not have a thread pass right here or here going from this bead to this bead. You should not have one going that way. Okay, I'm exiting out right here. I'm going to pass through the rest of these C beads, these 3 right here, and then I'm going to tie my half-hitch knots in front of the 4mm beads, and also I'll tie half-hitch knots in front of the super duos. So this is what our earring looks like right now. So I'm just going to do the half-hitch knot. I'm exiting right here. I'm going to take my needle and I want to catch just this thread right here. So I'm going to go up through here. So be careful that you don't go here, because then you'll be catching 2 threads and you're going to be seeing your crazy looking knot. So you want to just take your needle and pass right under these seed beads here, this thread, okay? So I'm going to catch that thread, make a loop, and go through the loop twice, and slowly pull that knot down in front of my 4mm bead, and now I'm going to pass through the bead, pull the knot into the bead, then I'm going to sew through all of these 11C beads. Okay, I'm only going to tie my half-hitch knots in front of the beads that have big holes. So that would be my 4mm beads and my super duos. So right here I'm going to tie another one. So make a loop and go through the loop twice and pull the knot down. Okay, now I need to bring my needle up my thread because my tail's gonna get stuck inside of this and I don't want that to happen. Okay, so after I tie a knot there, I'm just gonna pass through this super duo and through these 2 11C beads, just like that, and I'll tie another knot here. So pass through here, make a loop, and go through it twice. So keep going, repeating these steps. Sew through all the 11C beads and tie 1 knot in front of the 4mm bead, and also tie 1 knot in front of your super duos, and just go around this entire earring on the very edge. And once you get over here, pass through these C beads, you'll want to snip your thread and your earring is finished. So keep going, reinforcing your earring so it's very durable and will last for years and years to come. This is it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and like me on Facebook. And don't forget to share pictures of the jewelry we've made from my videos on my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching.